the Marcus Freeman hire at Notre Dame, similar to Dan Lanning, taking over a tremendous top flight, top 10 to 15 program, and it not being down. So typically when those jobs turn over at places like we've seen recently, Texas, Florida State, Miami, it's a great program with great resources, facilities, talent base, but the program's down. But for Dan Lanning to walk into Oregon, where they should be the odds-on favorite to win the division and go to the Pac-12 championship game as a first-time head coach, it's a pretty unique opportunity.
Yeah, and I agree with your assessment there. I think the division is at a pretty weird place right now, the Pac-12 North. I mean, you look around it and you go, is Oregon State the biggest competition? I mean, Washington State are both also going through coaching changes. The cupboard's a little bit more bare for both those programs. I'm sure if any Husky fan were listening to this, they would probably be disputing that. But that's where I'm at. Stanford was a mess last year. I know they beat Oregon, but I don't think they won another game after that. And then California is sort of just always kind of in the middle. And it's hard to see them being any better than that with some of the losses they've had, especially at quarterback. So it's a pretty advantageous situation for Dan Lanning, I think. I think winning the division is, like, if that isn't met, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are a little bit concerned just because of the makeup of the conference. I think there would be people who'd be understanding if they don't win the conference, just because Utah, a lot of people have them as a college football playoff legitimate candidate. And I think that's fair based upon how they finished last year. But the division is really Oregon's for the taking. And for this staff to come in here and win a division championship, which, again, I don't know how we want to deal with 2020 because they didn't technically win the division, but they won the conference championship because of all that weird COVID stuff. But, like, it would in theory kind of be three, this would be in theory kind of like 4 in a row division championships. And I think that would speak to the longevity of Oregon right now and dominating the division. And then you think about what the program looks like down the line when Lanning and his staff kind of get a little bit more footing here, and you can get pretty encouraged by kind of maybe owning the Pac-12 North for a while.
It is a strange makeup to the division right now because the power typically lies with Oregon, Washington, and Stanford. Stanford close to a decade of close to dominance. David Shaw's got all the respect across college football, but they've really been bad for 3 or 4 years now. And Washington, man, a lot of their success has to be tied to how good Chris Peterson was, because now that he's been off campus, they fielded one of the most horrific offenses in college football last year. Now, Kalen DeBoer is an offensive guy, so he's going to probably upgrade it considerably to a certain extent, but they got a long way to go. And Justin Wilcox, I thought at the time that he was hired, I thought that was an excellent hire, one of the best defensive minds in the country, but Cal's like 10 or 12 games under 500 in the conference since he started, so they really have not been a factor. It's kind of strange to look to Oregon State as being probably the best competition in the interim right now.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's at. It's a weird thing. And again, I'm not overlooking the fact that Washington with DeBoer and kind of the pride in that program can take a big step. Maybe Tanner McKee at Stanford, who I've always been high on, the quarterback, maybe he takes a big step and he just kind of wills them to more successful season. But it's a pretty weird, I guess, dynamic in that division right now where, of course, I'm Oregon centric here and probably a little bit higher on the Ducks than some. But I think if you just kind of look at it from a national perspective at a glance, you're kind of going like, what's going on over there? Like there's no clear cut program that really stands out, which is different than the South, where you have Utah, which has really solidified itself, I think, the last couple of years. And then USC is this program that is emerging and at least from an off-season perspective has really done some impressive work recruiting and through the transfer portal.
Yeah, when I'm thinking weakest division in college football, I'm not giving the Pac-12 North typically a thought. I'm looking to the ACC Coastal. I'm looking to the Pac-12 South. But I think for 2022, it could be definitely under consideration.
Yeah.